if you miss anything, don't worry, we'll capture it and send it out afterwards. We'll also end on a Q&A, so if you have any questions throughout, feel free to add them into the Q&A module, and we'll go through those at the end. And with that, I'll kick it over to you, Etienne.
Yeah, sure. So let's start with how it all started. Essentially, just talking about the origins of this project in early 2023. Very small team of engineers at Meta and within the team at Instagram started working on an idea for a new app. And they really saw an opportunity to, like, an opportunity in the market with people looking for more choices than what was out there at this point, and with the belief that public conversation isn't something that one company should own. And they wanted to create a place where people feel comfortable sharing their thoughts and their ideas. And you can see kind of a few things that like brought Threads to life, sorry, with how the logo was built, and like that golden ticket that we had at launch, and like the experience as it was when we initially launched. So that's the origins, and really we launched in July last year, and we've seen a pretty strong traction. And on the next slide, we are sharing the latest numbers. And we've announced recently, Mark Zuckerberg did, that we have reached 275 million monthly active users on the platforms, connecting over ideas, and 1 million sign up. That's the slide just before, I think. And so, yeah, exactly. So 275 million, 1 million sign up daily, and a growing community. And we really kind of do everything we can to kind of keep growing that healthy community on the platform. Now, what Threads is about on the next slide is really about, like, the core belief that we have is that everyone has something valuable to say, and we want them to say it on Threads. Essentially, the app is about like sharing your thoughts and your ideas, joining conversations based on your interests, and engaging with your community. And so if you go to the next slide, like the mission really is about inspiring ideas that bring people together. And I'm gonna spend some time on this one because I think it's really important to break it down and explain what we mean by that. When we say inspiring ideas, what we want is really to make it easy for people to explore other takes on a variety of topics as you form your own opinions. It can be the highbrow, it can be the unhinged, can be casual, everyday thoughts, the rumblings on your commute, for instance, or even deep ideas, the latest breakthrough in your field of expertise. Could be celebrity gossip or philosophical questions, snarky memes, silly jokes. I mean, people really want to hear others' takes on a variety of topics. And then about bringing people together, obviously this is something that is core to what we do at Meta, but we really want to allow people to find others who share what they're into. And we believe that like forming a healthy community really leads to livelier conversation. So that's what we are aiming for. What we don't want, though, which I think is equally important, is toxic takes that shut people down. And the last point is that when we say we want this space to be positive and kind of productive space for conversation, it's important to say that positive doesn't mean boring. A welcoming public environment leads to more earnest discussions, and people can open up, share fresh ideas, opinions, and reactions without overthinking either. So these are the points on this, and really our mission, again, inspiring ideas that bring people together. Now, I wanted to share in the next slides a few ideas or like a few insights into the experience of Threads. Obviously, I guess a lot of you have seen, have tested Threads and know what it looks like. But really, I think the things that we've built are about getting started quickly from creating your profile in just a few taps directly from your Instagram profile. A feed experience, which is something that lots of social media users are already kind of very familiar with, really to explore the For You feed or the following feed. And on the For You feed, the ranking is based on our AI system, which basically determines which content appears in your feed, in what order, by predicting what you're most likely to be interested in or engage with. Then you have search capabilities, obviously, which enable you to discover topics to talk about and accounts to follow. And finally, Threads is also available on web, and we've built an experience that is very customizable, where you can pin columns for your favorite searches, accounts, save posts, notifications, and more. And obviously we've built as well the API, which enables folks to connect and join the conversation directly from their preferred third-party tool, and Planoly is a great example of that. Now, on the next slide, there are a few examples of how you can create on Threads, and really we want people to feel comfortable sharing their thoughts and showing another side of themselves. I don't know if we've lost the slides. I can't see them anymore, but let me continue and we'll figure it out. The first thing to know is that there's no need to be camera ready. You can share text, obviously, but you can also share polls, GIFs, and voice threads. And of course, you can still express yourself with photos and videos. You can also edit your recent posts. There is a 15-minute edit window. And finally, again, there are new things that are coming from a creation perspective. We recently launched the ability to tag locations, which is also a great way to tap into your local community. It's also, let me see if this comes back. Otherwise, I can try and share my screen maybe. Maybe let's pause for a second, because I can continue talking and talking, but gives you time to pause, as I'm going through the features and ask questions in the Q&A.
I think we lost Candice.
Yeah, we did. She's the mastermind behind this session, so we really need her to be with us. I can continue a little bit, and then we'll figure it out. I'll go back to the slides.
Go back.
Come back. Can you?
Oh, can you hear us?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Sorry about that.
No worries.
I'm not sure what happened, but I think my Wi-Fi just disconnected. So I'm back on my hotspot. Apologies. But that's how, I guess,
Magic of live.
things go sometimes. Okay, so sorry about that. I believe you're probably finished with this slide when things cut out. So on to this one.
Yeah, so I can just repeat very quick, but essentially to create on the platform, share their thoughts, showing another side of themselves. No need to be camera ready. You can share text, you can share polls, you can share GIF, voice. You can still express yourself with photos and videos. You can edit your posts for 15 minutes after you post, and you can again share with Planoly or your favorite third-party tool. And an important thing to mention actually is that not all of these features, typically voice threads or polls, are not always available through the API and through third-party tools. We're generally working very closely with our partners and Planoly to figure out where it makes sense to bring parity. But some of these experiences, just as a caveat, are not available yet through the API. It still makes a lot of sense for you guys to know about it, because also that's valuable features for users and for businesses amongst you. It's important to know what value they get out of the platform. Okay, community is on the next slide. Few things that we're doing for people to find their community and really connect with existing new audiences around their interests and experiences. A few features to highlight here. Topic tags are essential to reach people interested in a specific topic, and very important to improve discoverability, and we're going to touch on that later. You can find timely topics with Trending Now and join conversations you care about. That's only available in the US for now, but something we hope to expand further in the future. Live scores is also a great example where you can find real-time game information and scores and just tap into the conversation around a game by tapping on the score. And finally, last but not least, controlling your experience. And I think it's a really, really key aspect of the app, and that's on the next slide. You control the conversation. We've built threads of the Instagram infrastructure, and what that means is that we ported over a lot of safety and integrity features that were available on Instagram. And we really want Threads to be a place, like, again, for positive and productive and healthy conversations. And so know that you can control who replies and quotes your content. You can control who can mention you and unquote yourself if you need to, if someone quotes you with bad intent. You can hide words so you stay safe and customize what you see in your feed, but across all surfaces in the app. You can obviously block profiles, and profiles that you actually blocked on Instagram will carry over to Threads and vice versa. And you can block an account directly from Threads if you want. You can report a post, you can mute and unfollow an account, obviously. And finally, you can manage notifications and reduce the noise where needed. So really important part of the experience is like having control over your experience and feeling safe on the platform. And yeah, I really wanted to insist on this part. Now, with that in mind, I'm gonna pass it over to Teddy to share a few best practices about Threads.
Thank you so much, Etienne. Yeah, so I'll speak a little bit about the best practices for Threads, and yeah, hopefully that is useful for you guys. So one of the things that we hear often from our producers is that they want to understand how to succeed on Threads, and things like, what I should post or how often I should be posting, things like that. So yeah, to make it easy, we've put together some best practices around things we've seen work really well on Threads. So essentially on that slide, we really wanted to highlight the fact that we're seeing that frequency matters. So essentially, the more frequently a user posts, the more views per post they get. So yeah, share content often. That's really the message here. We recommend posting at least 2 to 5 times per week. And essentially, higher post frequency is linked to higher impressions per post. So that's one piece of advice we wanted to share on that slide. Looking at the next slides, we want to touch on how to experiment with content formats, right? Top producers play around with a mix of different formats, right? And that includes text-only posts, text plus photo, text plus video, text plus carousel, polls, GIFs. Etienne mentioned a few of the formats eligible on Threads. So essentially what we see is that multimedia posts that also include text perform better. So this is always going to be your decision, but we definitely recommend to include text in posts. And something else that is very important to mention is that posts without text are not discoverable by a search and tags. So that will also make your content less discoverable by users while seeking content on a specific topic. So yeah, we definitely recommend to try things out and see what works for you. On the next slide, that best practice is touching topic tags. So this is one very key aspect of your growth on Threads to reach more people with topic tags. So when you include a tag in your post, you allow other users to discover your contents, whether they are clicking into the tag from another post or they are doing a keyword search related to your tag. So this also allows you to tap into the tag and understand what are the conversations that are happening related to a topic of interest, for example. So yeah, we definitely recommend to play around with tags as well. On the next slide, we've listed some tips to grow on Threads. So essentially, there are 4 of them listed here. So beyond just making posts, right, it is also important that you are consistently replying to posts as well. So replies account for almost half of the views on Threads. So if you're replying to Threads, you end up reaching more people and potentially converting them into followers. So the advice here is really to engage with your community, right? So the second one is to share your opinion on the topic and invite others to share their opinions too, right? So essentially, we've seen that posts that drive conversations are more likely to be recommended. So yeah, you can, start a debate, ask for recommendations, advice, poll your followers. You can be very direct, as Etienne was saying. You can ask your followers what they want to see, what they want to hear from you on Threads, and essentially let them inform your content strategy. So posts that we see do well often tie to something that is happening now or that is culturally relevant. So yeah, the third one is named Jump on Trends. And essentially it's the fact that, yeah, we encourage you guys to share your thoughts on cultural moments, pop culture, and current events, because they're likely to be top of mind for your audience. And yeah, the last one is called, yeah, Make Them Laugh. Essentially, we've seen that humorous content received a higher number of views on Threads. So there's more than one winning strategy here. So we always recommend to experiment and see what resonates with your audience, and then leverage the insights to measure your success. So I think that's about it for the best practices, and I'll yeah, hand it over to you, Candice.
Thank you, Teddy. So Threads and Planoly, as Planoly users, we get a lot of questions on like, okay, but how do I use Threads and grow my Threads community using Planoly? So as most of you know, since you're here, we launched auto posting on Threads through Planoly in July of this year. So the API was released in June, and we hopped right on that to integrate Threads into Planoly. So you can essentially share text, photo, and videos all directly in Planoly alongside your other social channels. And one of the great things is you can use a lot of the other Planoly features, one of them being Planoly's AI caption writer or our dupe photo integration to help you kind of create that Threads content. So in terms of the AI caption writer, you can use it to really kind of get a jump start on what you want to say. And then we always take it and zhuzh it and make it our own in our own brand voice. So in terms of the best practices for using Planoly and Threads and using it to grow your presence, the way that we on our team actually use it is we plan out our monthly evergreen threads using Planoly. So we'll go out for a month, set up our placeholders, and hop on the social calendar, look at what's coming down the pipeline, and schedule out basically 1 to 2 threads per week. Like Teddy mentioned, part of the growth strategy on Threads is really being consistent. And so you can do that by scheduling out a month's worth of content in Planoly and just having those scheduled to post. And then basically, as I mentioned already, you can use our AI caption writer, you can use our stock photography from other creators and dupe with that integration to add additional content to your threads. Like Teddy mentioned, that really will help increase your engagement and your reach as well. And then, once you have those threads auto posted throughout the month, then you have additional time to actually hop on threads every week, engage with other content, reply to other threads, interact with other creators, and again, use that to like really hop on those trending moments and build your community and following. In addition to kind of having those posts that are just scheduled to go out, then you can really start engaging with those additional members that you have. So hopping back over to Etienne, I believe, to talk through threads we love, or is this you, Teddy?
I think that's me. Yeah,
okay, great.
Right, cool, no worries at all. Yeah, a few threads that we love, right? Because yeah, we just want to share some of them that we really love. We think that they are inspiring. So we wanted to highlight a few examples of brands and creators who leverage the best practices that we laid out before, right? So for beauty and fashion, for example, on that slide, you can see that. But we love how Cat Queen uses voice threads to educate on the pronunciation of beauty brands, for example. Or you can also see, almost Erin Brooklyn giving her own unique take on fashion shows. And yeah, another one, Sephora and Glossier inviting their audience to join the conversation, right? So that really resonates with the best practices that we've talked about before. So looking at the next slide, when it comes to sports, right? Yeah, on that slide, we can see how Naomi Osaka shares her authentic daily thoughts, or also how F1 and Lexis Meekins engage with their audience through questions and polls. Yeah, now looking at entertainment, we can see how Max jumped on the Barbie trend and encouraged the use of the tag Barbie Party, and how BJ Novak jokes about something that's relatable. So yeah, all of these threads are examples that could be used for inspiration whenever you start having fun and creating your own threads. I think that completes the presentation on our end. I'll pass it back to you, Candice.
Yeah. Yeah, we added a couple too in terms of threads we love. Our team is really loving threads for just that community aspect. It's a great way to find other like-minded creators or entrepreneurs and just kind of I love the positive nature of it. As Etienne was mentioning, I think that's just so unique and different and something that we really have enjoyed about threads. It just feels much more positive and very like exciting and just you're a part of something. And so sharing a couple of different examples of kind of just again having that space for you to connect with other creators and build that community. And so with that, we want to thank you guys for attending. As I mentioned, we have recorded this and we'll send it out. And wanted to end on just a couple of questions that have come through in the chat. So if you have any, feel free to add those now. We've had a couple come in. So Terry was asking, can you use more than one hashtag? And so talk about a little bit about hashtags and how they're maybe different or turn into those kind of trending topics on Threads.
Yeah, so the answer is you can only use one at the moment, and it's very similar to how tags work elsewhere, frankly. So you can tap on the tag, you end up in the search results page, and you're gonna see like people talking about similar topic or basically using that tag themselves, and that's one way to kind of like tune in the conversation, just see what's going on the threads, and just kind of have that link between your content and the community. What we generally advise is like trying to find threads that are like specific enough that they're gonna hit your target audience again, and like not go too broad. But yeah, so the answer is only one tag.
Thank you. That's great. And then in terms of content, would you suggest resharing posts directly from Instagram? It didn't seem to pop up on the list of best practices to help you grow, but curious for y'all's thoughts on.
Yeah, so that's a very good question, and I think just like taking a step back on like the connection with Instagram. I mean, as you might have seen, it's very easy for people to toggle between their threads and their Instagram profiles, which then may lead to people who discover you on threads to follow you on Instagram as well, and vice versa. So the fact that you cross post from time to time, so at least you can start with that, you might reach a new audience, and like people might discover you, go to Instagram, follow you there as well. So I think that's one aspect of it. Now, what we recommend generally is really giving people a reason to follow you on both platforms by creating unique and original content that draws them in. So you have the option to cross-post a piece of content from Instagram to Threads, but I generally say that that shouldn't be your entire strategy. And you should probably be intentional about what you cross-post and why, and consider jumping into the replies to give your Threads audience a compelling reason to keep engaging. I think one thing that we see interestingly is like creators sharing content that they share on Instagram, but with a slightly different take or a different lens or approach, which is more geared towards like engaging in the conversation and sharing a behind the scene, or asking feedback, or like basically triggering a discussion, and not necessarily using the exact same caption and like and the same content.
Yeah, totally agreed. That's great. And what would you say, and I'm sure it probably varies by audience, but Sarah's asking what's the best time of day to post on Threads, if you have any insights there.
So I won't have an answer because one, as you say, like it really heavily depends on your audience. And we don't have this kind of insights at account level at this point. And also it depends on where you live in the world. So but yeah, I don't think there is a right answer. Again, like going back to what Teddy said, I would really say that's up to you to experiment and try different things and see what resonates and when you get most engagement. Generally, again, like people engage with the content for a few days after it was posted as well. So the ranking also like is gonna show you, like the AI is gonna show people what we think is most relevant for them, and so the time of day doesn't always impact the performance, and it's more about like the content itself, really.
What is the ideal amount of images in a carousel to post on Threads?
So I don't know that we have an exact number of images to recommend. Like for awareness, you can post up to 20 images in a carousel, and we can see people having a lot of fun and being really creative with that, by the way. And like if we initially had like 10 images, and we increased it because there was a lot of demand to add more, and use that in a creative way. I think one thing for you to know as well is, like on the app, if you pinch the carousel, you can basically bring the pictures together in a very fun way. So I encourage you to try, like some creators and brands use that in a great way as well, like doing more of a landscape type of picture and then having people pinch and see everything come together. But yeah, there is no good answer. Again, like I would say just experiment and then see what works. But from 2 to 20, that's basically what you can do.
Amazing. And then last question, is Threads better for content creators or business owners, or both? What do you think?
I think both is the correct answer. I mean, what I will say is we really built Threads, and like the focus at the moment is really on making sure that there is a great consumer and creator experience first. And the reason why is obviously because we want to make sure that we build this healthy ecosystem and environment where then brands can thrive and like basically run their business efficiently. And I think that's kind of like the baseline to do that. So that's been the focus. Now, obviously, brands have been part of the conversation since the get-go, and we see great success for a lot of brands. And we shared some of Teddy shared some of these across different industries. So again, I think Threads is for everyone. Like we shared the core belief, everyone has something valuable saying that can be everyone, like from businesses, creators, or just kind of you and me on a day-to-day basis. That's what I would say.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Well, that concludes all of the questions. Really appreciate it again, everybody, for attending. And thank you so much, Teddy and Etienne. This was wildly helpful, and I can't wait to share it with the rest of our audience.
It was great.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.